Good evening, everyone. Good to see some people here, braving the cold. Come in and sit meditation and sit very still. That's the best way to deal with the cold. Is there anybody that's new here tonight? Yeah? New? Yep. Have you ever done any meditation before, or? Okay. So you at least know what to do for the next 45, 50 minutes or so. That's good. Very good. Okay. With that, we might make a start then. Welcome to all the people online as well. Anybody has questions online, you're more than welcome to throw them in the chat a bit later, and we'll answer the questions after the meditation. Okay. So we can take a seat. Find a comfortable position. As we start to settle into our seat, you can just start to take notice of the feeling of the body starting to rest and relax in. Can notice any heaviness in our body as our body touches the seat. Notice the sounds in the room or outside. And just start to bring our awareness to the present moment of what we're doing right now. Simply sitting. And start to settle into the natural rhythm of the breath coming and going. Can observe it at the tip of the nose or in the chest or in the abdomen. It's this steady and constant rhythm of the breath coming and going. Just place your awareness on the breath and just watch. No need to control it in any way. Just simply let it be as it is. Just like you'd sit on the shore of the ocean, watching the waves come and go. Some waves are bigger and come into shore closer. Some waves are smaller and stay further out. We just sit on the beach and watch these waves come and go. And we take this simple stance with the breath. We merely sit and watch it come and go, not trying to change it, just noticing it for what it is. And if our minds do become distracted and wander off, simply just bring your awareness back and continue to watch the breath come in and go out. with each time that you bring your awareness back to the breath or your meditation object, see if you can allow this awareness to sink in further. And rest even stiller on this point. Just like a pendulum that swings back and forth. With every repetition, the arc gets a little bit slower, a little bit narrower, as it swings back and forth. Until finally it stops and rests in one spot. It's perfectly still. And rests in perfect peace. With every breath and every time that you bring your awareness back, see if you can get closer to this point of perfect stillness. If with each breath you can let go a little more. Let go your attachment to your thoughts, your concerns, your distractions. With every breath, just let go a little bit more. Lighten your burden a little bit more. Until there's nothing left to do, but just sit in this space of peace. This bright and still and calm place. Where nothing moves. the next few minutes, see if you can drop your awareness down into the center of where you usually experience emotions or feelings. That place where you feel calm, that place where you feel care or love. Or even that place where you may feel worry or frustration. For many people it may be in the heart area. But wherever you yourself mainly feel these emotions from, see if you can locate that point. And when you locate it, see if you can rest in that point for a few moments. Place your awareness fully on this spot. This place where you feel love, or this place where you feel sadness or grief. Just rest there. Rest your whole being in this spot. And as you keep your awareness at this place, again, it may be the heart region. See if you can also bring to mind a time, maybe not so long ago, where you misunderstood an interaction or a relationship. And you maybe suffered because you didn't understand something about the situation. Might have been a misunderstanding with a friend. But something where we didn't understand something about the nature of our existence. This caused us suffering. Something we didn't know. but we still built a story about it. Or even when somebody may have asked us a question, we didn't know the answer. What did that not knowing feel like? Or what did that misunderstanding feel like? That we may have been wrong or confused. And this confusion caused us suffering. This misunderstanding that caused us to suffer. Could we help it? Could we have allayed it if we did understand? But because we didn't understand, then we suffered because of it. So again, as we still rest in this space, we usually feel emotions. Try to see if we can resonate in our heart and just say to yourself, I forgive myself for not understanding. I forgive myself for my not understanding, causing myself suffering. That I didn't know that I was causing myself suffering. So I deeply and truly forgive myself for this misunderstanding. I forgive myself for the mistake that led to this suffering. Now bring to mind a time that you maybe thought something bad about somebody that you're close to. you thought bad of them for no real reason at all, or that you thought that they did something to annoy you or wrong you. And you thought this negative thought towards somebody you care for, but they didn't do anything. And this thought has given you some kind of suffering. Did you control this thought? Or did it just arise? And because you may not have been mindful, you experience suffering. Again, deeply in this point where you feel emotions in your heart. Say to yourself, I forgive myself for not being mindful. I couldn't help it. I forgive myself for experiencing suffering, for causing myself suffering. I didn't know. I didn't know I was causing myself to suffer. So I forgive myself. I forgive myself for not knowing, for not being aware. See if you can truly let this burden go. Any weight in your heart or in this area where you feel emotions. See if you can truly let that go, put that down by forgiving yourself. For not knowing, for not understanding. Forgive yourself for causing yourself some suffering. That guilt or that pent-up criticism. Just let it go and forgive yourself. bring to mind someone in your life that maybe just does something small that might annoy you. No need to bring to mind anybody that has really wronged you in any big sense of the way, but just somebody that's in your life maybe does a little thing that annoys you here and there, a small annoyance or inconvenience. Maybe a partner and the way that they chew their food, or something small like this. And just reflect at this person that does this very small and innocuous thing. They might be totally and completely unaware that this annoys you or that this agitates you. See again if deep in this heart where you feel these emotions, you can simply say to this person in your mind, I forgive you for not knowing. I forgive you for not understanding that you are causing me harm. I truly forgive you for not knowing that your actions cause me harm. And I forgive you for that harm. Because you didn't know. That burden of annoyance. See if you can let that go and drop that through forgiveness. Okay. Hopefully you all had a nice meditation. Anybody have any difficulties or issues or absolute states of being blissed out and perfect peace and stillness, or radical annoyances or something like that? It's all good. Any questions in the room?
Thank you, Ajahn. I suspect everyone's enjoying the lightness of heart
That
you brought about. Thank you.
Or they just thought of somebody annoying. It's like, I was in a lot of peace until I thought of that person that's annoying, and now there's like it's wrecked my meditation. So
Are there any questions in the room from anyone at this point? We have one online question that we might start with then, and if after that anyone would like to ask a question in the room, they can ask it from where they are or come up to the microphone. The online question is, Hi Ajahn, is talking in the head as I meditate on loving kindness, saying, may this person be well, may they be happy, etc., is that okay, or do I need to drop the mental voice and try to just use feelings?
yeah,
I have this same question with body contemplating, going down the body, starting at the head, but again, mentally listing and saying the body parts.
Yeah, that's a really good question. Essentially, there's nothing wrong with it at all. And actually, say for example, something like loving kindness. That's usually the traditional way that we're taught loving kindness is to repeat phrases over and over in your mind. May I be well, may I be happy, may I be safe, may I be free from ill will, may this person be well, may they be safe, blah, blah, blah. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with repeating phrases and using your sort of inner narrative and your inner linguistic capability to remind yourself of this. Likewise with the parts of the body, this is actually one of the on the day as a monastic, on the day that you ordained, you're given a object of meditation, and the object of meditation is to what we call the 5 parts of the body: the hair of the head, hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, and skin. And it's taught to us in a way of repeating this over and over: hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin, and going over it and thinking about it. So, if it's good enough for the monastics on their ordination day to get them to start meditating, it's more than fine for you to actually do this. So, in essence, if you find using this inner linguistic representation, you find that useful, and this is the thing that can actually keep your mindfulness on this thing, either loving kindness or on the body, then that's totally fine. If you with the loving kindness thing, if you're repeating these phrases, and maybe it doesn't actually feel like you're feeling the full overwhelming feelings of loving kindness in the mind at that time, that's no problem. Don't worry about that too much. If you can really repeat those sentences or whatever in your mind, and you can also feel the feelings, this is a bonus. This is something, if you can actually do that, that's a really good thing. But don't give up on the whole project if you can't actually feel those feelings yet. If using the inner thoughts and the inner narrative is something that keeps you there, that's fine, keep going. the more you do it, there will be a point where you will actually be able to start to sink in and actually experience the emotions of loving kindness a lot more. Once you can do that, you know, maybe you can start to let go of the inner narrative or the inner voice with that at that time, but it's not totally necessary yet. Obviously, you want to get to the point where you can actually truly sink in and feel these feelings of loving kindness. But, you know, it's, you know, most of the time you can't sit down every time and just be overwhelmed with boundless kindness and joy to the world and everything and everybody and all the people that you love and all the people that you don't like. You don't feel like that every day. So a lot of times you've got to convince yourself of this thing. So actually repeating these things over and over again is fine. And if you can actually feel the emotions of loving kindness, that's fine as well. And likewise with the going through the body parts, if you are going through it and you are thinking, okay, that's my arm, that's the feeling in my hands or something like that, then that's fine. It might get to a point where you start to drop the labeling and you're just experiencing the sensations for what they are, or you're passing your awareness through a particular part of your body, then that's fine as well. Again, I say this quite a lot. Whatever really works for you. If you find labeling works well for you, label stuff. If you find just observing something as it is, if you find that works, use that. If it's something that's keeping your mind in check, keeping your mindfulness on the object, you know, do that thing. So yeah, I think it's totally fine what you're doing. Anybody here have a question? Can I rely on the people with a keyboard?
You have some more online questions, Ajahn, so I'll continue with those in the meantime.
Yep.
We've had this question before perhaps, but just maybe a quick refresher. For a beginner, what amount of time is best to start with?
A beginner
in meditation. For meditating.
The amount of time that they're actually practicing meditation.
I understand. So,
So the time that you spend meditating, it's not, and I don't want to be misconstrued in this way, it's not so important how long you actually meditate for. What is important is the quality of your mindfulness and your awareness when you are actually meditating. So if you meditate for like 5 minutes and you can keep your mindfulness very with the object that you're meditating on, and you have those 5 minutes where you can make your mind somewhat calm and somewhat still, you know, that's a good 5 minutes. And if you feel that that's the appropriate amount of time, just 5 minutes, then that's great. If you decide to meditate for an hour and you spend 58 of those minutes just like wandering around and like what am I going to have for dinner, and like that guy today really annoyed me, and I wish tomorrow I'm going to go back and I'm going to say this to him and I'm going to blah 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 blah. If you spend 58 minutes out of the hour meditation thinking like that, you know, it's the hour's worth of meditation is not worth the same as that 5 minutes of actually good quality meditation. So the amount of meditation that you actually do will be determine what you feel by what you feel like is a good amount of time where you can have a quality meditation, and you're not just sitting there going through the motions and sort of being drifting too far off. It's for a beginner, you start off smaller. You don't start off in your first week of let's sit here for 3 hours and do that. Obviously you start off small, start off with something like, say, say 5 minutes or something like that, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you're comfortable with. You start off like that and you might find, okay, I've been doing 5 minutes for about a week now. Maybe I can do a little bit longer. And you go up to 7 minutes or 10 minutes or something like that. So in essence, for a beginner, start out small, find what you're comfortable with, find what you can, for the amount that you feel that you can keep your mindfulness with the meditation object, and that you, in that period of time, you have a good quality of meditation and mindfulness, and then you can extend that, because you'll just, essentially what you'll be doing is developing the habit to keep your mind in with the meditation object. So you just get better at that. You'll get better at that skill. And so you'll be able to extend it out further and further. So from 5 minutes to 10 minutes to 15 minutes to 20 minutes, whatever it is. But again, start small, start what you feel comfortable with, start with what you feel that you are getting a good quality of meditation out of first, and then just gradually expand it as you go along. But yeah, don't try to go, okay, I've just started this meditation thing, so I need to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and meditate for 3 hours and all these kinds of things, and it's not really going to work. Just start out small and gradually build on from there. And again, it's about the quality of your meditation, not the quantity. I've spent just hours and hours. I'm going to sit for 4 hours and not move. And 3 hours and 50 minutes were just a waste of time. I'm just proliferating and, running through all these things in my head, but I'm sitting still, and it's and there's only 10 minutes that was good of that kind of thing. So I was may as well just have done 10 minutes. I wouldn't have had to put myself through all this pain. So yeah, take it from somebody who's wasted a lot of time trying to do things for a very long time.
Thank you, Ajahn. Following on from that point, actually, in cases where the meditation isn't a good one, thoughts keep coming up, getting lost in thoughts. Is there a way to salvage that session? Is there a way to kind of reset and I know normally the advice is to bring the mind back, but if it's a session where just too much distraction. As you said, 90% of it is just, not going that well. Is there something to do?
Yeah. So that's a good question, a really valid question as well. So while I said, okay, there's that 90% of it that might be considered a write-off kind of thing. It's important that we don't think of that 90% as a write-off. Because we sort of judge, okay, the 10% that was good, that was a good meditation, and the 90% that was not so peaceful, that was a bad meditation. That 90% of the time, you're actually building up a lot of other qualities as well. Qualities that you maybe don't associate so much with practicing meditation. So just something as simple as patience. You're developing patience at that time of look, I'd rather get up and go and do something else, but I'll be patient. And even though it's not so peaceful, I'm still developing this faculty of patience. I'm still developing endurance. I'm still developing this quality of continually trying to go against the natural inclination of the mind, even though it's not working out so well right now. I'm still actually doing that. So we can actually salvage a lot from that 90% that we might think is wasted. It's not really wasted. You're doing these things. I made the sort of the facetious joke of sitting there for 4 hours and only having 3 hours and 50 minutes of wasted time. But there's a lot I got out of it. A lot I got out of doing these things, of just learning to say, for example, things like, learning to go through pain, learning to overcome these states of wanting to get up and move and distract myself, and all these kinds of things. Even though it doesn't feel so peaceful and blissful and calm and all these, you are actually learning a lot of these other things. So yeah, even I think and in all honesty, I think I've learnt a lot more about meditation, and I've got a lot more out of meditation, out of like all the bad meditations that I've had. Because, that's what you're trying to overcome, really. You're trying to overcome these negative reactory patterns in the mind. So when those things do come up, it's a good opportunity to work with them. So it's not really wasted. The only caveat that I'd give to all that is if your mind really is starting to spiral into like a bad place, and it's like maybe you're starting to get very, very anxious, or there's some kind of depression is like really starting to ramp up. Yeah, obviously back off from that. But if it's just your average kind of garden variety mental discomfort, then it's actually getting through those and sort of just being with it. You develop a lot of these other qualities as well. So yeah, it's not wasted. So yeah.
Thank you, Ajahn.
No problem.
There are a couple of more questions online, so
yep.
We've got about 8 minutes left, Ajahn.
Yep.
Thanks, Ajahn. Whenever actually this is a question I think a lot of meditators can relate to.
Yep.
Whenever I realise I am controlling the breath, I try not to control it.
Yep.
But this seems to be another form of controlling.
Yep. Do
you have any suggestions to let go? It almost seems I'm afraid to not be in control.
Yeah. It's one of the most terrifying prospects of letting go of control, and I don't say that lightly. It's letting go control of what you're going to experience or what the mind's going to do can actually be terrifying. Even these points sometimes where we're practicing and actually our mind's becoming calmer and calmer and calmer and calmer, and having to let go into that calm actually can be really quite disconcerting. Let go of that control of the mind moving into this place that you're not familiar with. And even though it is a positive experience, it actually can be quite confronting. So letting go of control is because in essence what you're doing is like, we have this feeling that, I'm in control of my experience. So if I let go of the control, then I let go of me. I let go of my, autonomy over experience. So it can be, there's always a resistance to stop letting go. There's always a resistance to let go of control of something. So even something as simple as the breath, we can, fret over it and not want to let go. So let go of control of that. So there's, I think, there's some, and just from a very practical perspective, there are these sort of very simple practices you can do whereby you start to let go control of little things. And so say, for example, you use the breath as the example. So you can do things like, okay, I'll just sit here and breathe. Okay, I'll just let it be. However I'm going to breathe, just let that be. There's no need for me to try to breathe deeper. There's no need for me to try to breathe shallower. There's no need for me to breathe in a long way or in a short way. Just let go control of this and let this thing happen. And what you'll find with something like the breath, and we just keep telling ourselves, just let it be, just let it go. What's going to happen? Your breath is still going to go. It's not going to stop. It'll still just keep going. And that's when we start to do this and we actually start to, I can let the breath go and it just keeps going. We start to do that. We can start to do that in that small way. We can start to do that with bigger things in our lives or bigger things in our experience. Okay, I trust the breath. I've let this thing go now. I'm not controlling it. And nothing bad happened. Yeah, it's fine. Start to do this with other things. We can start to maybe do with the sensations in our body. Just let them be. Let it go. Let it be. Let the control go. The good sensations, the bad sensation. You just let them be. They're still there. Again, they're not going to stop. Just like the breath didn't stop. And so we work with these small things, and we can actually start to move up to these bigger things that we can just let be and we don't need to control anymore. So the more we do this with the smaller things, the easier it does become with the bigger things. So when we are actually sort of moving into this way of, our mind sort of maybe even becoming calmer, or we're approaching some kind of insight or something like that, we won't have that kind of resistance because we've practiced with these smaller things of just letting it be the way it is and letting the control go. The big thing, the big take-home message of this is like, even if you let go control of these things just continue to happen. You let go control of the breath, and you still keep breathing. And you can let go the control of your heartbeat, and it's still just gonna continue to beat. So and don't get me wrong, I really do understand like this feeling of wanting to let go of control. It is scary, but if you try it with these small things first, you actually build up some confidence with it. You build up some kind of reassurance with it, and so if you start off with these small things, you will be able to progress to bigger things, and it'll just become easier and easier the more that you do it. So, yeah.
Is there another question inside the room? One more 2-minute answer, Ajahn.
Tell me it's an easy one. You're not gonna throw like what happens to consciousness after death. Like don't throw that at me now.
Damn it, that was the next one. No, the last one then, Ajahn, is Ajahn. Do you ever have trouble getting into a state of loving kindness? I know I do.
Yeah, I definitely. Yeah, for sure, 100%. In all honesty, I don't think I'm naturally a very kind or compassionate person. Naturally, I'm not like. I'm actually like pretty hard, and so it's been years of practice, and it's been very difficult for me to actually try to develop these things. I had many years at the start of my practice, and this is when I say many, I'm talking like 5 to 10 years of trying to do these practices and it not really working and feeling superficial and all these kinds of things. But through doing more practice, I actually was able to generate these things a lot more. Essentially, what I think for somebody like myself that is maybe just doesn't have these natural tendencies to be kind and compassionate in this way, you have to find the way that the kind of method that suits you. And when you do find that method, it's like, okay, yeah, I know how to tap into this thing now. And once you find out how to tap into this thing, that's when it does become a little bit easier to generate these things a lot more. So yeah, it's difficult. There's some people you don't have that kind of personality, and so it is a little bit more difficult for you to generate these things. But it is something that you can generate. The analogy is something like, generally your mind is not calm. Your mind is very, very distracted. Your mind jumps all over the place.
But the first time you try to actually meditate, your mind still sort of jumps around all over the place, and it's harder to control. But the more you actually do it, the easier it becomes for you to like bring the mind into focus and to calm down onto something. But it might take you a little while to do this. And so something like loving kindness, if you're generally don't have that kind of tendency to be, innately warm and kind, it's going to take you a little while. It's going to take a bit of actual developing that skill and developing that training. So yeah, it does work, but you do have to work with it a little bit more than what most people, most nice, just nice people actually do. I've always said it's like you get these people that they're just like they're nice all the time, and it's like, God, they just annoy me so much. It's like how do you do that? I wish I could do it, but I just can't. So yeah, take heed. You're in good company with me, with a fellow like potentially like grumpy and cynical person. So it's fine. You hopefully you get there. So. Okay, with that, we'll call it a night then, and thank you all for coming. There's a few more things on during the week. There's tomorrow night. There's another meditation session with Sandeep. There's a Friday night. We're up to lesson 3 or something with the learn to practice meditation. Sunday, who's giving the talk? Chinta. Chi Kong Sin is going to give the talk. That's very good. So I encourage you all to come and listen to that. She gives some very, very good talks. And yeah, and then it's back to me again next week. So yeah, with that, we'll call it a night. And I really do wish you all the best.